What's up my friends, how's it going, and welcome back to the 8th episode of our Let's Play series as Alexander with your fellow comrade Summary. Let's quickly turn off all the notifications, and in the previous episode we fought the Battle of Gaugamela near Babylon. We managed to capture the settlement shortly after, conquering as well Charax, and then we managed to conquer the cultural heartlands of the Persians at Persis, including their cultural capital of Persepolis. We managed to push in up from the north into Armenia, capturing the settlements of Ganzak as well as Frafsa, and then we even managed to move from Persis with Alexander, capturing the capital of Media, which is basically Ecbatana. And the Achaemenids are really on the back foot. They don't have that many armies left. They just have about 4 settlements. The main threat is of course the Bactrian, as well as the Aracosians, the Achaemenid satraps. Things are looking quite good as far as economy is concerned. We are making 48 food per turn in surplus. Meanwhile, we are making 37,000 denarii per turn. So really no concerns as far as food is concerned. Public order wise, we are looking quite good. None of our provinces really suffering from any major public order losses, so that is also a good thing for us. Meanwhile, we are in the process of recruiting new armies, so we're just trying to move them towards Tarsos. Meanwhile, Stratos 10 Aribas is going to move towards Larissa, or actually, you know what, I'm just going to move him because it's more important to get him across as quickly as possible towards Antiochia. A quick look to see our population classes in each of these settlements, since we will need quite a significant amount of population to recruit up units, and we're not looking that great as far as population is concerned, but we are going to try to recruit up those 2 new armies as best as we can. However, the situation over here, as you can see, we are firmly in control of Ecbatana. We're going to go ahead, dismantle this building, and we are going to build up temples over there to help with the cultural conversion. Speaking of culture, of course, Media is still majority Persian culture. The same goes for Persis, and let's just quickly upgrade all of the buildings in Persis. Speaking of Persis, however, we are going to try to culturally convert those 2 provinces. Apart from that, our other provinces, of course, we have Mesopotamia already Hellenic. Of course, Syria is flipping between Hellenic and Persian. It's almost neck to neck, but once we complete our temple over here, we should be able to tip it in favor of Hellenic culture. Meanwhile, Libya, Egyptos firmly Hellenic. We are looking quite good as far as culture is concerned. Of course, our major focus is going to be these new provinces over here. The main focus of this episode, of course, is going to be to wipe out the Achaemenids itself, and then focus on the satrap of the Bactriani, as well as we're going to try to push into Carmenia with our 3 armies over here at Persis. We do have Stratos 7 Ptolemeos, we have Stratos 2 Cassandros, as well as Stratos 8 Philotas. Apart from that, a Aracosian stack has wandered a little bit too close towards Gore. Gore does have a decent garrison, so we're going to try to basically attack them as best as we can. The way we're going to do this is we're going to move a little bit in a way that, yes, they will be pushed towards that in between over there. And now what we are going to do is we're going to attack them with both of the armies over here. In fact, we can actually attack them with 3 armies. I mean, why not? Because we will minimize our casualties if we attack them with 3 armies. There we go, 95% auto-resolve. Very good auto-resolve. Go ahead and slave up all the captives. Move Ptolemeos back towards Persepolis. He can replenish over there. Meanwhile, Cassander is the one who's taken the most casualties. Hardly any casualties for Philotas. So we're going to move Philotas back over there. We can even move Cassander because he does have a decent amount of population in Gore. So we can actually move him all the way towards the settlement of Harmosia, and we can actually deploy him in a patrol stance. Meanwhile, we're going to move our spy a little bit closer, get a line of sight of Pura. Okay, so that's it. They just have Pura, Aracosia, and Frada, so things are looking good over there. Meanwhile, Hephaestion, who was in an ambush stance, is going to go ahead, attack Rhaga, complete our conquest of the province of Media. And over here, we're going to attack this army over there. Meanwhile, I don't really want Alexander to take too many casualties. So what we are going to try to do is just try to get into a position where we can replenish, and I think the best way to do that is to actually move back towards Susa. There we go. Susa should have a decent amount of population. Alexander should be able to replenish. We're going to put him in that petrol stand so that he replenishes. Meanwhile, I think Ganzak should have run out of units, so we are slowly going to move as best as we can. I think this army can reach Susa, which is great, so he can still continue to replenish. Let's go ahead, put him in that petrol stance. Meanwhile, this army over here, I think we should just retreat him a little bit, move him back towards Frafsa, get him replenished, and then push onwards towards Sadrakata. That being said, we are going to move our spy up towards Sadrakata. I think it was a good call. We're going to deploy him over here so that we get a line of sight of what exactly is going on over there. Seems like the Achaemenids don't have any much stacks remaining. Of course, the Bactriani, as mentioned, are going to be the major threat. They have 2 full stacks over here. The Achaemenids looking pretty weak after the conquest of Rhaga. They are going to be all but done. Over here, we're going to go ahead, attack this army really quickly. We're going to take a little bit of casualties, but we're going to quickly enslave up all the captives. We have leveled up our character over here. Go ahead, give him that replenishment rate as well as melee attack, and then we're going to focus on Alexander's Chosen as well as the Persian invaders and the Hellenic upkeep, of course. And we are slowly but surely going to move eastwards. Ekbatana might have a little bit of population to help, and we're going to deploy into a patrol stance just in the hopes that we replenish, and that will be very, very useful, of course, going forward. Let's take a quick look at all of our buildings. We are building wise looking quite decent. Of course, we want to upgrade our academia so that our research rate is a little bit faster. And then apart from that, we do have characters over here that are moving towards, of course, Antiochia, and that is the main objective. We're going to try to build up 2 new armies over here, after which we should be in a very good position. However, with that, we are going to go ahead and attack this settlement over here. It's a pretty easy auto-resolve. The garrison is not that great, but I don't want to auto-resolve because, of course, I'm going to take a lot of casualties. So I'm going to quick save over here, hop into the battle, and I will see you all once the battle is done. And with that, we have a decisive victory, very easy victory, just 59 losses. We managed to conquer the settlement of Rhaga, and I might actually go ahead and just peacefully occupy the settlement. Not entirely sure how many casualties we've taken here. Very few casualties to our, Politeres units or our citizen units, which means we should be able to replenish. There you have it, just a very few casualties. So let's just peacefully occupy Rhaga this time so that we can replenish in the end turn. Should just give us a slightly, a slight bit of units, of course. So that's looking good. We have managed to consolidate the entire province of Media, and of course the future focus is going to be Alexander trying to take out Hecatompylos. Meanwhile, we can push towards Sadrakata. We have 2 armies over here in the region that can push. We have a significant numerical advantage in the area, of course, so that's what we are going to be focusing on. However, with that, we are more or less done with this turn, so we're going to go ahead, end the turn, and I will see you all in the next turn. Alright, welcome to the next turn. Of course, our research has completed. It's 15 turns to complete the next research, so I'm not really going to be focusing on that. Instead, I'm going to focus a little bit on construction so that we can improve our economy even further, which is really what I want to do. Meanwhile, down south over here, Ptolemaios, we can see if we can move towards Bam. And yep, that's perfect. Let's go ahead, attack the settlement. Should be an easy auto-resolve. Meanwhile, over here, Cassandros has kind of replenished. So what we are going to do is we are going to just attack with Philotas instead. And the auto-resolve looked pretty bad, even though, of course, we have a very good amount of units and they have very low garrison. We are going to go ahead, sack the settlement, and we are going to loot it as well. Excellent. We're going to deploy Philotas into the port so that he can, replenish. And we're going to move back towards Gore, try to get some replenishment up and running. Just go ahead and put him in patrol stance. Build this building over here. This kind of helps with the overall public order across your realm. As you can see, +4 public order per turn in all provinces, so it's very useful to build that building. Meanwhile, over here, turn off the taxation at Harmosia. We go ahead, repair all of the buildings. We do not need. Dismantle all of the other buildings. And of course, we want to even attack the settlement of Bam. It's pretty good auto-resolve. I am going to auto-resolve it. I might take some casualties to my cavalry, but we're going to go ahead, sack the settlement, go ahead, attack it once again, and this time we're going to loot it, gaining quite a bit over there, and go ahead, dismantle all of these buildings. Our dignitary, meanwhile, can move a little bit closer towards the border of Gedrosia, and there you have it. You can see the map right now. We managed to consolidate Carmania. The Aracosians only have Gedrosia left, which means we are going to be able to easily conquer that settlement. Down south, we have Alexander, of course. He is going to move all the way up as quickly as he possibly can towards Hecatompylos. Meanwhile, we have Stratos 6 Python as well. We're going to move him into Rhaga. Hopefully, we should be able to replenish. Hopefully, they have a decent amount of capability to replenish, and we can might as well just put Alexander in a patrol stand so that he can replenish a bit further. Quick look to see if this army can reach us. It cannot, so that is great. Apart from that, quick look to see over here, we can go ahead build up a blacksmith so that we can improve the armor of these units, which is going to be extremely useful. Quick look at all of our other provinces. They seem to be fine. I'm pretty happy with that. What we are going to do is going to move our armies across towards Tarsos, where we will need to recruit up our remaining cavalry as well as our remaining troops. That being said, let's quickly go ahead, get a couple of these units. We want to focus on cavalry, which we can recruit quite a bit of. 5 cavalry, that's amazing. And then we are going to push even eastwards, depleting the population in each of these provinces, but slowly but surely trying to fill out our own units. Now, one of the reasons I remember in the previous episode we were moving a dignitary upwards was in order to acquire the province of Epidamnos, which I would like to get from the Epirots, but I didn't do that. So what I am going to do is I'm going to try to improve my diplomacy with the Epirots. Let's see. Get them all the way up to 200, and then I'm going to try to gain the province of them. So let's just see if we can do that. So they are at 69, so we're just going to keep doing this, guys. Bear with me a second. From 69 to 94, so that's approximately 30 per click, so we'll need about 4 more of these. That's 1, 2, 3, and 4. That should bring us up to 200 reputation, which is what I want. That's 194, so we just do it just one more time, and we've almost depleted our treasury doing this. And there we have it, 219. So now we are going to move into our characters. We're going to see the female character that has the most amount of gravitas, and we are going to send her to Epiros. Hopefully we will succeed at gaining Epidamnos from them, and if we do, then we don't really need this building over here. However, with that, we are more or less done with this turn. What we are going to do is focus on upgrading our characters. Quickly go ahead, give him all of those abilities. Ptolemaeus, meanwhile, upgraded once more, so we can focus on the upkeep as well as, of course, that over there. Philotas has also upgraded, so can go ahead, get that damage, Hellenic upkeep, as well as the attack against the eastern factions. He has also kind of upgraded as a general as well. We have a couple of dignitaries over here that have upgraded. We are going to focus on that cultural conversion, no doubt, and go ahead, get that trade agreement. Perfect. Over here we can go for the research rate, extra food, and the demagogue. Okay, perfect. We're looking quite good. Quick look at our politics. Okay, influence seems to be good. We can actually in fact use Alexander to gather some strength so that we are getting a little bit ahead. As far as political parties are concerned, all of them are loyal, so we have no real concern over here. This army over here can start to move back up north as well towards Rhaga. Things are looking really great over here. We can move this army all the way towards Hadrokata as well. So yeah, once again, things are looking really, really good. Actually, at Ecbatana, what I would like to do is actually start to build a supply building, because that will be really important over here to supply. Usually the Iranian plateau is got really low supplies, and we have quite a lot of armies over here. We have 3 + 1, that's 4 armies, 5 armies over there, and of course the other 3 armies down south, and we have a couple of armies marching in as well from the far west, but they should slowly make their way towards, of course, Media, and then assist with the attack against the Bactrian as well as against the Achaemenids. However, since we're going to have a lot of armies in the region, and since this region is usually very low on supplies, it is a good idea to have a supply building at Ecbatana. Supply buildings can supply 3 regions adjacent to it, and the other supply building I like to have is at Arta Koana. So basically what that means is the supply building at Ecbatana will be able to supply all the way in this direction, 3 provinces in this direction. Meanwhile, the supply building in Arta Koana will be able to supply in this direction, which pretty much covers the entirety of Persia all the way up to Armenia. We will have a supply building to support our conquest. However, that being said, we are more or less done with this turn, so I'm going to go ahead and end the turn, and I will see you all in the next turn. Welcome to the next turn, successful diplomacy, and that is actually fantastic. What we are going to do over here is just quickly upgrade these buildings. We need a port over there, that's fine, and we can go ahead and dismantle all of these buildings and focus on, of course, getting a maximum cultural conversion in that area. Of course, we want to turn off the taxation, of course, to help with that public order. And with that, more or less, you know, have the western part of Alexander's empire. They did have access to the Adriatic Sea around this region, so that is kind of nice. And I'm actually contemplating if we should attack Sparta, because historically speaking, Sparta did try to rebel against the Macedonians when Alexander was on his eastward campaign. So it would be very interesting to actually get a hold of these Spartans. Meanwhile, over here, this army can go ahead and move towards Antiochia, although I'm thinking we should actually stop recruiting this unit over here, move him all the way down into Antiochia, and we are going to move this army all the way over here towards Aribas, and go ahead and deploy the last 2 remaining cavalry. Over here we need 1 cavalry and a couple of Politides. We are going to focus on that and then move towards Samosata, get the remaining units. I think as far as the eastern parts are concerned, we have quite a lot of armies. So the real objective over here will be perhaps to deal with the Spartans. We do have a lot of agreements with them, which we are going to cancel and then go ahead attack them. We're going to recruit a couple of these armies, march them back across the Aegean into Athens, and then, you know, take out the Spartans. In fact, I might as well go ahead and do that, because I could recruit from Larissa, give a decent opportunity for these settlements to, you know, kind of grow as far as population is concerned. However, that being said, of course, the Achaemenids have decided to, you know, garrison the settlement of Hecatompylos. So we are going to think about how we push in that direction. Let's go ahead, upgrade all of the buildings we can. Quick look at all of our provinces first. We want to upgrade those buildings quickly over there. Build a academia over there. Go ahead, dismantle that building. Once again, just build that up. Alright, perfect. We do have a decent amount of Hellenic in that area, so things are looking quite good. Meanwhile, over here up in the north, we're going to move Cassandros all the way towards Bam in the other direction, in the hopes of course, relieving Ptolemy. Over here, we are more or less almost fully replenished, so I think what I'm going to do is I'm actually going to move Philotas all the way up north, move Ptolemy all the way down south. And I don't think he should be able to replenish because we don't have population class, but we are going to put Philotas over there, and we are going to move Cassandros towards Harmosia and Ptolemy back towards Gore. So we're just going to keep cycling out these armies, trying to get them to replenish, and we might actually even push into Arachosia. However, for now the main concern is of course to deal with this huge Achaemenid army as well as Hecatompylos. It's the last remaining resistance of the Achaemenids. We do have Hephaestion in the region, we have Perdiccas, as well as we have Python. So what we're going to do actually is we are going to start to move Perdiccas up here to the north. This army could potentially reach all the way over there. We're going to move Python as well over there to the north, and we're going to try to attack Satrukata from that direction. Meanwhile, down south over here, we are going to try to attack with Alexander himself as well as Hephaestion. Move as close as possible. There you have it. And now we're going to attack this army outside, deal with all of these stacks as much as we can, and then take over Hecatompylos, which is a very strategic region. Not that it can block a lot, because a lot of armies can actually move around the settlement, but it's a very huge detour to do that. And in fact, this area right here is an arid region. It's really inhospitable, which means enemy armies will be taking a lot of attrition should they decide to go down that route. What's more important is that conquering Hecatompylos will actually give us a huge line of sight, and therefore we will be able to easily understand if any enemy army is trying to move in this area, and if they do, we're gonna largely ignore them because we don't really care to deal with that. However, over here, alright, things are looking quite good. And yeah, we can go ahead, end the turn, but before we do that, we do definitely want to attack with Alexander, of course. We are going to go ahead, attack this army. Quick save over here. They're going to be reinforced by a couple of armies. We do have the numerical advantage, but of course, you know, we have to be very careful with these Persian stacks. Let's just quick save over here, and I'll hop into the battle, and I will see you all in the battle. Alright, welcome to the Battle of Hecatompylos. We have Alexander as well as Hephaestion lining up to attack the Achaemenids outside their last major settlement, of course. As you can see, have the army under Alexander already in a formation with some gaps just waiting to be filled in, and kind of not enabled my markers, unfortunately, and I will do so for the next battle. Do not want to hop out of this battle. However, that being said, I do have to offer my entire community an apology for taking such a long hiatus. Really struggling with real life stuff, and especially my health. I have a serious tear in my tendon, which I'm trying physiotherapy and other things to sort out. It's quite painful, really affects my sleep, so forth. The reason I didn't make this apology earlier on the episode is, believe it or not, I have actually recorded the episode way back in anticipation of releasing it. However, never really took the time to record the battles, and as such I wasn't really able to release the episode. That being said, I know some of you have said to play the battles in replay so that I can zoom in and give you guys a bit of a look at the battles, but what I am going to do is I'm no longer going to do that. I'm just going to fight the battles as the episode goes on, and I'm going to pretty much record at the same time in live time, so that I can roll out videos as quickly as possible, because I have identified that as a bottleneck in the consistency of my video releases. And what's more over is that having recorded battles really for some reason reduces the performance of the battles itself. So if I actually try to fast forward the battle, you can see how choppy it is. So I'm not really able to fast forward as much, and it's really painful to record such battles, especially large battles, and there's of course even a chance of the game crashing due to the extreme visuals, which never really happens in real time, which is kind of weird, but it is what it is. So I think going forward I'm just going to be recording the battles as I actually play them in live time, and that also offers you guys some key insights as to how I manage my armies. That being said, I have to deal with this fast forward as the armies, as you can see, they're slowly moving into position, slowly getting up into that formation. Of course, we have our pikemen supported by our Hypophistae, and we have our slingers as well as Grecian archers, and on the flanks we have our Agrianian support, And on the far flanks, we have our companion cavalry. The right flank held by none other than Alexander himself. There you go, you can see him over there. He's commanding his army to keep moving forward. And on the left flank, we have Hephaestion commanding his version of the companion cavalry. The Achaemenids, meanwhile, slowly trickling into the battlefield, so it's going to take a while before we can go forward. As you can see, it's a 16-minute battle, so I'm not going to spend 16 minutes showing the entire maneuver. And we're going to fast forward into the future, and we'll resume just when the battle is about to commence. Alright, as you can see, we're nearly gotten into position. The entire Achaemenid army is still drawing up into position, but some of their cavalry units have, approached my front lines, especially the missile cavalry. It's going to be a little bit tough to deal with. Thankfully, they are firing. Actually, not thankfully, they are firing into my pikemen, which is rather unfortunate because pikemen have a low missile block chance, which means they can take a lot of casualties. But we are firing back, so we're not going down without a fight, and they've already taken quite a bit of casualties, 98, since they're the only isolated missile cavalry. I can actually focus fire on them and cause them to quickly rout. Meanwhile, on the right flank, as far as I remember, sorry for no markers once again, I do remember I kind of mismanaged Alexander in this battle. I don't really use him as much, and as such this battle takes a lot longer than it should have taken. But as you can see, I'm trying to be a little bit more aggressive. The enemy AI, typically when they have a lot more missile infantry, they're going to play a little bit defensive in their posturing, which means they will not charge into me. And keep in mind, even a lot of these melee units are actually Sparta type units, which means, they are going to be having munitions of their own. They're going to be firing arrows before they even get engaged. So there's that. It's going to take a very long time for our front lines to engage. So I have to be a little bit more assertive with my movement, keep pushing forward and trying to entice the enemy to engage in a melee. So there you have it. You can see that I'm issuing orders to keep moving forward. Meanwhile, on the left flank, Hephaestion has once again nothing much to do, but what we're going to try to do is we're going to try to encircle the Sparta units over here, try to charge at them from all sides, minimizing the casualties we are going to take, and we are going to crush them in a complete charge from all directions. And as you can see, Alexander being extremely passive. I wouldn't really recommend this, but in all honesty, there's not much he can do. We do have some weaknesses over here with the enemy missile units, but they are supported by melee units as well, so it's going to be very difficult. A quick look at the charge over here. These guys got charged in the back, absolutely demolished even before the main charge from Hephaestion. And there you have it. We have Hephaestion also charging and just going to turn off the depth of field over there, the automatic depth of field. And with that, you can see that we have managed to completely wipe out that unit in just a single charge without taking too many casualties ourselves. In fact, most of our horsemen are at full strength. Over here, you can see that our left flank is the more engaged flank. Our right flank is still a little bit passive. We are still trying to move up our pikemen. Slowly but surely try to get the enemies to engage. We can see that even though they have gone in their phalanx formation, they are not really committing to the fight, and that's because they are just firing constantly at our troops because they're quite comfortable to do so, since they do have missile superiority. Over here on the left flank, we're quickly trying to reposition and apply the same strategy to this other unit of Sparta. It's not exactly Sparta, they are the general's bodyguard kind of a unit. As such, they do have long spears, which are kind of hidden by this firing animation, which means they can do some damage to our cavalry, so we have to be really, really careful. But on the bright side, since they don't really have a shield, that means they have a lot less mass, which means a charge is a lot more devastating against them. Quick look to see our entire front lines have kind of engaged. A little bit of lack of cohesion over here. There was a gap that the enemy kind of exploited, but the good news is that we are engaged in the melee, which means right now we do have some sort of an advantage. And of course we do have a bit of an overlap over here. So not the perfect micromanagement, but we will be able to hold out the enemy line quite effectively. Meanwhile, over here, now is the time that I should have used Alexander to take care of these missile units, but I am a little bit passive with Alexander. On the left flank, you can see that Hephaestion, conversely, is very, very active, constantly, attacking, and this unit is losing decisively, of course, because he tried to solo charge, into long spears, which is not a very good strategy. So we are pulling off as many of our cavalry as we possibly can, trying to get, some cycle charges in, and that's perfect because we get that rear charge, but for some reason the animation bugs out, so these guys do not take a lot of damage. In fact, they turn around just in the nick of time, and once again, they will be dishing quite a lot of casualties to our units. Meanwhile, a group of Achaemenids over here have fled the battle. Shameful display. But in all honesty, the left flank is quite pressured, so I wouldn't really blame them. And there you have it. You can see Alexander finally starting to make some maneuvers, finally start to charge into the enemy archers. And there you have it. We are starting to make some headway over here, which is exactly what we need. I'm just going to check if I have turned on the gamma of my reshade setting. This new reshade, courtesy of DNBX on the Discord channel, in the Et Impera Discord channel. I'm really liking it. It looks a lot more cleaner, a lot more realistic, and I'm gonna try not to zoom in too much because a lot of missiles happening over here, and I have noticed that that tends to be when the game crashes, so I'm just gonna try to stay focused on a little bit more of the macroscopic level of things over here. So there you have it. You have a bunch of Achaemenian pelters stay engaged with the enemy cavalry, losing decisively once again. So not looking good, but thankfully Hephaestion to the rescue. We are going to charge into this unit, and once again with that weird animation that didn't really cause any casualties. And I'm guessing it's because I'm actually mismanaging charges. I should have issued an order to charge at that cavalry, but over here we see some pretty good charges happening. We can start to see that we are managing to contain the left flank, but not that great. And as you can see, I've just issued a command for Alexander to move all the way to that left flank, try to support as much as possible. But you can see the enemy front line on that right flank is kind of wavering because, of course, the main bulk of the enemy army is on that left flank. In fact, they've managed to rout out 2 units, not really wiping them out, but routing them out. And over here, we're going to slowly try to relieve our right flank with Alexander himself charging across the enemy front line in the rear and getting up some pretty massive charges over there. Unit is losing decisively, and we have pretty much secured the entire the entire flank. And at this point, I'm not sure my archers have anything to do. They don't really. Cretan archers. One thing about recording that is an advantage is you get a lot of hindsight as to what mistakes you actually committed during the battle. And the thing about Cretan archers is that they do have pretty respectable melee stats. As you can see, 13 melee attack, 13 melee defense, overall weapon damage of 25, good armor, which means they could have potentially just charged this unit over here because it is offering us their flank. So we could have potentially charged with all of these Cretan archers and kind of taken out that unit, but we didn't do that, of course. Over here on the left flank, we can see that we're starting to get some sort of an advantage in the deeper left flank. However, the enemy themselves have managed to encircle our left flank of phalangite units, so we have to kind of deal with that as quickly as possible. As you can see, Alexander is desperately trying to, with his cavalry contingent, move around, and over here you can see a little bit more mistakes happening, just a little bit bad pathfinding causing few casualties as well as your entire cavalry to stop, so you have to be very careful with that. Over here we're going to try to charge, try to relieve the left flank. I think the only real hope in dealing with the situation over here is to kind of break the morale of the entire army over here, and if we do that, then we will be in a good position. Meanwhile, Alexander, I do believe, has charged over here. These guys have turned around, which means it is time to disengage, but once again, really horrible pathfinding. Really bad management over here, and this is absolutely what you don't want to do. You don't want to keep moving into enemy hoplites because they have definitely more mass and a lot of anti-cavalry capability, which means they can dish out some serious punishment. As you can see, losing decisively over there. This is pretty bad micro, even for my standards, especially for my standards. But the good news is this unit is, of course, wavering. If we can break it, then we can break the deadlock. And with that, we've broken the deadlock. Pretty much the entire right flank of the enemy army is done for. Which means a lot of it's going to boil down to how we wipe out the enemy units over here, try to create that balance of power extremely skewered in our favor so that the remainder of these units lose the resolve to keep the fight going. And that is exactly what we're trying to do, but a lot of chaos happening over here, a lot of bogged down units, unfortunately. So yeah, that's just really unfortunate micromanagement over there, if I have to say so myself. We are charging cavalry into the fray, but this is not the ideal thing because, you know, it's very heavy Persian cavalry, really 49 armor is heavier than our cavalry. So we're not going to be able to do too much damage. Instead, we have a lot of pikemen sitting idly over here. The ideal thing would be to slowly march them up to this cavalry, because those guys would be absolutely able to shred a cavalry unit like this. All the way over here, you can see that some of our missile units are being a little bit inactive and therefore getting picked off by some of the enemy melee units that have managed to encircle my left flank completely. So that is rather unfortunate. But we have a couple of Agranians that I am going to try to relieve the pressure on that left flank over there. Meanwhile, we are trying to break the deadlock over here. And I think after we do that, we get a lot of freedom in how we, you know, manage the rest of the battlefield over there. But we just have about 1 minute left to the battle. You can see the balance of power wildly fluctuating in our favor, so we really want to push home that advantage. And one of the key things to do in such a situation, as you can see, once again, a really bad engagement over here with the cavalry facing off against these spearmen. So yeah, we're on the verge of actually losing that cavalry unit. Thankfully we don't. But the ideal thing to do over here is use these cavalry to kind of shatter this enemy general. And if we are able to do that, that will tip the balance of power deeply in our favor. And here again, once again, very bad micro because we're moving our cavalry into phalangite type units. But nonetheless, we're going to get the charge off. We're going to cause a mass rout and we're going to win the battle. So I'll see you all in the campaign. And a decisive victory. We are even in terms of numbers, but we managed to kill almost 10 times our number. Alexander himself, as you can see, scored a lot of kills. Cavalry is looking really, really good, especially these AOR units. Let's go ahead and enslave all the captives. We should have been able to wipe out quite a significant portion of their armies. So we can just enslave up all the captives. They shouldn't be able to retreat too far. Which gives us the opportune moment to strike them. In fact, if we actually move up ahead like this, we will not be reinforced, which is great because I do not want to be reinforced by Alexander. Once again, we're going to enslave up all the captives over here. And Alexander himself, we're going to take a quick look to see if we can actually replenish in Rhaga. We can, so it's actually really important for Alexander himself to replenish. So we're going to sack as well as loot the settlement of Hecatompylos, move Alexander all the way back towards Rhaga. There we go. And we are going to put him in a patrol stance so that of course he can replenish in the end turn. Meanwhile over here, we are going to go ahead, dismantle all of the buildings we do not require and build up all the buildings we do require. And with that, we can go ahead and end the turn. But before we do that, we can level up Perdiccas. So let's go ahead and give him some abilities. Focusing on that fear as well as the movement speed is very important. And I think more or less we are looking quite good. Let's keep moving our spies a little bit around. Just toy around, refresh our line of sight over there. And we have another spy over here at Pura. We're looking quite stable down south over here. Excellent. So let's actually deploy our dignitary over here. Excellent. And this one's already deployed. We're slowly but surely culturally converting the province. We can upgrade all of the buildings that we can. Quick look to see any of our other buildings if we can afford to upgrade them. For now, I'm pretty happy with that. In about 5 turns, we will be able to upgrade our economic buildings, which will send our economy into the next level. Of course, Thrace is starting to lose some public order, but we're going to try to rectify that as quickly as possible. Meanwhile, Alexander himself, still 27 years of age. That was predominantly his age, 26 to 27 in the previous episode. We have about 50 to 60 turns to complete this campaign, of course, and we are well underway towards achieving that. However, with that, let's go ahead, end this turn, and I will see you all in the next turn. Alright, welcome to the end turn. The Bactrian at Sadrocata have decided to attack Stratos for Parmenion. We are going to quick save over here, hop into the battle. Not going to be showcasing this battle. It's fairly straightforward battle. We have the cavalry superiority. The only main threat is the Sparta. As much as you guys know, I hate the Sparta units. However, going to quick save over here, fight the battle, and I'll see you all once the battle is done. Alright, with that decisive victory, we didn't wipe out the entire enemy army. That was not our objective. Our objective was to basically fight this battle as quickly as possible. We did take some little bit casualties, more than expected, because I didn't fight it to perfection. I just wanted to get it done with because it's a rather boring battle. We are going to go ahead and slave all the captives, and most importantly, we're going to isolate this army in an advanced position, gaining a significant momentum advantage against the Bactriane. Alright, welcome to the next turn. Missing taxes, banditry everywhere. Let's take a quick look at our politics. Okay, we're looking quite fine. Loyalty is also quite fine. Let's see if we can actually upgrade some characters. Here, we want to promote this character right there. No other character really in concern. What we are going to do is move our armies back towards Egyptos. We're going to go into the port of Side over here with Stratos 10 Aribas. Meanwhile, over here, we cannot recruit any more units. Tarsos also will be hard pressed. So what we are going to do is just deploy once again into the port. We can actually use the glitch, which is what I intend to do. Let's actually go ahead do that and start moving him all the way across real quick. We're gonna do that once more, this time with, of course, into the settlement of Side. Go ahead, put that all the way over there, move him all the way back across the Aegean. Perfect. And now over here, what we want to do is we want to break off all of our treaties with the Spartans. Go ahead, do that. Should be about 6 to 7 turns before we can attack them, and once we attack them, we will have a significant advantage. Let's go ahead, upgrade all the buildings that we can, especially these ones in the east, so that we can upgrade our garrison. That's very important. Meanwhile, over here, we want to focus on, of course, building out as much so that we can culturally convert that province. Over here, we can go ahead, upgrade these buildings since we no longer are in a dire situation. Pergamon making about 9 food, which is pretty decent. Meanwhile, over here, things are looking quite decent as well. Since we have quite a lot of money in our treasury, I'm actually going to take my sweet time in order to analyze what exactly I need to be doing. And we don't really need this building to be at max level anymore, Babylon. We can actually maximize our food, get about 5 more food from that region, or 3 more food, although food is not a real priority. Over here, we can go ahead, dismantle this building, go ahead and build up a couple of those buildings. Perfect. And since we do have the advantage over here, we are going to move back towards Ganzak. Try to replenish over there, go into a patrol stance. We're going to move back down south towards Ecbatana. Alexander himself is also almost completely replenished, although we can actually replenish a little bit more in this turn, but we do have a population over here, so let's just go ahead, keep moving armies ahead. That was a bit too far ahead, and we are going to try to do the same. Over here, we're going to try to move all the way up there. There was another army of the Bactriane over here. Alright, can he move towards either of our armies? No, he cannot, so that's great. We're going to move our spy a little bit up north. In the next turn, we should be able to take out Suzia as well as Nisa, essentially wiping out the Achaemenids from the campaign, so that is definitely a very good thing. All the way down south over here, we can go ahead, attack Sadrakarta. A very good auto-resolve, 98%, I'll take that. And we can actually, in fact, just peacefully occupy the settlement so that we replenish a little bit over here. What we are going to do is just try to dismantle all of the buildings. We can't really build any charge support. Meanwhile, this unit could potentially attack Hecatompylos, so I am just going to station myself over here just for a couple of turns. I could potentially wipe it out, but I want to maintain the momentum advantage. Leave it over there behind enemy lines where it can't do much damage. It is fairly weak. It just has a couple of depleted Sparta as well as some other AOR units. So it's going to be really good going forward. However, with that, we are done with this turn, so we are going to go ahead and end the turn, and I will see you all in the next turn when we are ready to finally wipe out the last two remaining settlements of the Achaemenids and then begin our invasion of the Bactriani. Alright, welcome to the next turn. First things first, let's actually move our army back across the Aegean Sea. We are going to try to move him all the way up towards Larissa. We've broken off all our agreements with the Spartans. We're going to move a secondary army into the port of Ephesus. And we are also going to transfer him over to Athena. Apart from that, missing supplies in Macedon doesn't really matter. Banditry unrest in Libya is a little bit unfortunate. But we are looking quite good as public order is concerned. We're going to take a quick look at all of our settlements, make sure we're building out everything. Of course, we do have the grove right now that will slowly push us back into Hellenic culture. Let's quickly upgrade all of the buildings that we require. Over here, we are going to go ahead, perhaps build a military province out of this. Not entirely sure. For now, let's just focus on cultural conversion as much as we can, as well as some population class boosts to that area. Perfect. With that, we take a quick look at our politics. We're looking fine. We can actually send Alexander to gather some more support, to keep pushing us a little bit into that beloved category so that we do not suffer that much. Meanwhile, all the way in the east, we have Hephaestion that is close to Nisa, as well as Alexander that's close to Suzia. So let's actually move Alexander towards Suzia. There we go. We have Alexander all the way over there. Meanwhile, Hephaestion, we're going to move him as close as possible towards Nisa. This army over here cannot engage us, so in the next turn we should be able to wipe out the Achaemenids. However, that being said, we are going to move this army a little bit over here, just try to entice that Bactrian army into attacking us at a river crossing. This army over here is going to move into Sadrakarta. This army can't really move towards Hecatompylos yet, and Hecatompylos should have a decent enough garrison. We are going to circle back across with Parmenion towards Rhaga, thereby replenishing him and also rejoining the offensive. All the way over here we have Cassandros, who is ready to take control of Harmosia. We are going to move Ptolemaeus back towards Gore so that he can replenish, of course. And yeah, I'm pretty happy with that. What we have to do now is finally attack with Alexander. So let's actually go ahead, attack the settlement of Suzia. It's a pretty decent garrison, but I'm not going to be showcasing this battle. I'm going to fight it, and I will see you all once the battle is done. And there we have another easy victory. We have managed to conquer the settlement of Suzia, and we've taken just a very few casualties. We are going to go ahead and peacefully occupy the settlement this time, I think. Yep, I want to peacefully occupy so that I can replenish in the end turn, and should have a sliver of population as usual from that peaceful occupation. Let's go ahead, dismantle all of the buildings. We get a little bit more line of sight. We have Outer Kohana in our sights, which is pretty good. Meanwhile, we move our spy down south to get a line of sight of what's going on in Pura. The main danger, of course, is these armies could move towards Bam, but eventually we want to keep moving back towards Bam, or maybe back towards Harmosia, and move this army all the way up towards Bam to protect that settlement. And in order to do that, we are actually going to deploy into the port. Meanwhile, this army can reach Harmosia in the next turn. And since we are going to be attacking Bam, we might as well move a little bit closer towards Frada. And there's a lot of attrition over here. Let's just go this way. Perfect. And in the next turn, we can attack Frada. And we can attack Nisa as well, which is what we want to do. And we want to kind of replenish a little bit over here. And hopefully attack over there. Meanwhile, a quick look to see all of the other armies. I don't think they have a lot of armies over here. So the Bactrian are going to kind of lose a lot of settlements really quickly if they don't do something about it. And I don't think they can actually do anything about it. This army over here, very understaffed, will not be able to take out greater settlements like Frafsa as well as Ganzak. We have quite a decent garrison in both of these settlements. However, with that, we can go ahead and end the turn. But before we do that, quick look to see the culture over here seems to be fairly balanced, with Persian just being slightly ahead of the rest, which will mean that converting into Greek will be relatively easy in this region. However, with that, we are going to go ahead and end the turn, and I will see you all in the next turn. Alright, welcome to the next turn. Armies have taken attrition, characters have increased in rank. Let's just quickly move this army up towards Larissa. We just need about a couple of Ageraspires as well as 3 Kalkaspires, and we will have a full army over there. Meanwhile, the other army, we're going to move into Athenae as well, after which we should be able to attack these Spartans. Quick look at all of our provinces. Make sure we are building up as much as we possibly can. In about 2 turns, we will be able to build even better buildings. And as you can see, we are looking quite good. Go ahead, build that supply pit over there. Upgrade that, build a shield maker to improve our armor further. And over here, we're going to focus on, of course, the cultural conversion of the province. So things are looking overall quite good. We have Hellenic back as the dominant culture in Cilicia, Caesarea. We're slowly but surely converting the province of Persis as well as Media. It's going to take a while before we can do so, but not too concerned. Meanwhile, we can move this army all the way towards Hecatompylos, which should have a decent garrison capable of defending itself. Apart from that, Alexander himself has fully replenished. He can actually move towards Arthacoana. Just a quick look to see this army over here. I don't think he can actually reach Suzia, so we are more or less relatively safe. Down south over here, we could go ahead, attack Frada. That is great, so we're gonna take out many more settlements this way. And as you can see, we are well on course to actually winning the campaign. There's nothing much else left over here. We're gonna quick save over here, hop into the battle, and we are going to try to see if the Bactriani actually have a couple of stacks over here. It seems for the most part they don't have any stacks nearby, which is gonna make our conquest of Bactrian very easy. Historically speaking, it was really difficult for them to do so. Meanwhile, quick look to see Sadrakarta. Sadrakarta is the province with a less garrison, so we'll need this army here just for a little bit before we can go ahead and keep pushing deeper into the east. However, that being said, Alexander himself, he could potentially attack Marv, and I think that is the play. We could attack Arthacoana instead of Marv, but the reason I'm not going to attack Arthacoana is this army over here can attack Arthacoana in the turns to come, so we don't really have much of a problem situation over there. Meanwhile, down south over here, we're going to keep moving Ptolemeus back towards Bam. Try to get him as close to the settlement as possible and protect that settlement from any possible attacks from the Aracosian. They are busy recruiting up units, And once they have a sizable army, we can attack them and take over the settlement of Pura. Once we take over the settlement of Pura, they will only be left with Aurea. And of course, it's a very good and strong position as far as the southern parts of the campaign is concerned. However, with that, let's actually go ahead, move Alexander up towards Marv. The only danger being is if there's an army in Artakoana, they could potentially attack Suzia. However, before we do that, we are going to go ahead. Just a quick look over here. Can kind of replenish. And I think that is a good thing to do. We should possibly replenish this army because Nisa has got a decent amount of garrison. So I think it's better to actually attack Nisa with Alexander. Perfect. And what we are going to do is just move this army back down over here so that it can replenish just a little bit. Meanwhile, over here, we are going to move a little bit across the river. And hopefully this Bactrian stack will attack this army instead of Alexander. But before we do that, we're going to quick save over here. Make sure that we have a proper... go ahead, reduce the banditry over there. Excellent. And we are going to quick save, hop into the battle, and I will see you all once the battle is done. And there you have it, a much more decisive victory. Only 28 men lost. We can peacefully occupy the settlement once again, get some replenishment, much needed replenishment, and then just keep pushing forward. And we are just simply going to peacefully occupy the settlement this time. So there you have it, easy win. We have managed to wipe out the Achaemenid Empire. Let's just go ahead and do that, and there you have it. Faction destroyed, Achaemenid Empire. Alexander will be able to replenish. Let's just quickly go ahead and dismantle this building. Dismantle all of the buildings. Oh, you can get some Parthian cataphracts. Very interesting. Might actually keep them because they're quite good, not gonna lie. And we can actually get some of them in some other armies. Let's say Hephaestion over here. We can... I don't know, but they're pretty slow, really. Let's take a look. I think they're gonna be quite slow. Speed 6. Meanwhile, this cavalry over here is a speed 7, so they're a little bit faster. So I'm not too wanting to get those Parthian cataphracts. In fact, they would be anachronistic, considering, of course, there were no Parthians at the time. That being said, this army over here could potentially attack Alexander. He might, in fact, want to do that. But we are just going to ignore him for now. Instead, what we are going to try to do is use the spy, see if he can sabotage the supplies. Hopefully we succeed. And we didn't, so he could potentially attack Alexander. But what I am going to do is I'm just going to keep moving up towards Karth. If this army decides to move all the way up there and attack me, then, you know, so be it. We'll try to defeat it, crush it, make it weak like this other army over here, and then we'll have an even easier time invading the Bactrian heartlands. However, with that, we also have to attack Frada, so let's just quick save over here. I'll hop into the battle, and I'll see you all once the battle is done. Very easy battle, just 52 losses once again. We took a little bit of casualties on one of our cavalry. We are fighting these battles on speed 3, so we're not really too concerned on, you know, micromanaging it to perfection. Since it's really an easy garrison fight, there's not much I have to do over here. But what we're going to do is peacefully occupy the settlement again. And this is because we want to replenish just a little bit in the end turn. We're going to go ahead, dismantle all of the buildings we do not require, and start to culturally convert those provinces as well. But for the most part, you can see that we are in firm control of the campaign. Not much else left to do except conquering the entirety of Bactria. They have Area under their control, they have Bactriane under their control, Transoxiana and Chorasmia, so that's 4 full settlements or 4 full provinces that we have to take control of as quickly as possible. The main thing over here is to deal with that army right over there, and we're actually waiting for about 4 turns before Sadrakata can have a maximum garrison. However, with that, let's just go ahead, end the turn, and I will see you all in the next turn. Alright, welcome to the next turn. Some desertion with the army over there. We are just going to move him into Athens, of course. And we're going to move the other army down south over there, get a line of sight of what's going on in Sparta. We have quite a big army over there that's going to be, so actually, ironically speaking, the major fight of this battle will be against the Spartans, of course. But before we do that, we're going to keep moving a little bit ahead, attack the settlement of Karth, get some sort of an advantage over there. We have this army that's moved in this direction. They're nowhere close towards Sadrakata, which means we do have a advantage of attacking over here, and we are going to try to do that. Meanwhile, this other army can move all the way over there. I do not think this army can move into that passageway, which means we have quite a strong position over here. So what we are going to do with that really remains to be seen. We can keep moving Alexander to the east. Let's actually go ahead and do that. Go ahead, attack Marv. Quite an easy battle. Meanwhile, we're going to move Hephaestion towards Nisa and replenish over there. All the way, we can just simply improve a lot of our buildings. Go ahead. A lot of cultural conversion is what we need. Let's just go ahead, upgrade all of the buildings we possibly can over here. Once again with that cultural conversion. Alright, I'm pretty happy with the way things are panning out. As far as our empire is concerned, you can see we're making quite a bit of income. 50,000 denarii per turn, 71 food in the bank. In about 1 turn, we will be able to, in fact, even upgrade our settlements. So let's actually just push it all the way to the next level so that we get that upgrades as quickly as possible. Another thing we could potentially do is actually start to research the field surgery, which gives +6 cultural conversion. That will really help with the cultural conversion of these regions. As you can see, we are growing as far as Hellenic culture is concerned, but it's a little bit slow at the moment, slower than I would like. But I'm not too concerned because all of these provinces are fairly good as far as public order is concerned, despite the fact that they don't really have a garrison in them. Meanwhile, we can move Ptolemaios back into Bam, protect that settlement, of course. Down south over here, we have Philotas, who can go ahead and attack Artokoana. That is going to be the main objective, of course. And it's a decent fight. We have 3 fights ahead of us. We have 1 at Karth. That is the most difficult in my opinion, because of course they have about 7 times 2, 14, 15 units, I think. We can just quickly look. Yep, 15 units. Meanwhile, Marv has another 15 units, but I'm sorry, not Marv. Artokoana has 15 units, but Artokoana's garrison, for some reason, is slightly depleted and they have a lot more archers. So let's just quick save over here. We're going to hop into the battle. I'm not going to be showcasing any of these siege battles because we have a very interesting battle up against the Spartans that will, take place in this episode. Alright, with that, we have managed to capture the settlement of Artokoana. Very decisive victory. You can see our Gerespere is doing really good, complemented by, of course, our Agrarian Axemen. Most of our other units saw very little of the fighting, as is common in our siege battles in, our walled settlement cases, is that we really rely on our Gerespides as well as our Agrarian Axemen. But over here we're going to sack the settlement and we are going to loot it. Or maybe we could peacefully occupy it, I wonder. Let's try sacking and peacefully occupying, see what that does as far as the population is concerned. Okay, it didn't do that much, so that is rather unfortunate. Let's just go ahead, repair this building, repair that one, and we are going to go ahead and dismantle all of these buildings. Meanwhile, the main problem is, of course, Frada, but it has a decent garrison, so I'm not too concerned. The next siege that we'll have to fight is with Alexander himself. Over here, we are going to quick save, hop into the battle, and I'll see you all once the battle is done. super decisive victory once again. Marv was reduced in so easily. It's just 4 losses really, and we haven't really even focused a lot on improving our military stats via technology, and we're just so powerful right now. There's nothing much the Bactrian can do, and this time around we are going to loot as well as sack the settlement, because we want to make a lot of money as possible. And there you have it. We have 100,000 drachma in the bank. We're going to go ahead, repair and dismantle all of the buildings we do not need. And as you can see, we're slowly pushing forward into the lands of the Bactrian, slowly conquering it. Of course, our next target will be Amul. And then we'll start going up north into Bukhara as well as Marakanda, and then move down south towards Bactriana. Meanwhile, this army over here, once it does replenish, we are going to move him towards Capicene, perhaps, or even just use Alexander for that purpose. Just make a wide arching move. We're going to station ourselves in Arthakoana and protect, of course, this strategic point over here. This is one of the most strategic points. For those of you who have seen my Mauryan Let's Play series, you will know that this point right here is very strategic, because you can pretty much move in any direction as you possibly can. There are just multiple avenues of attack, and whoever controls this basically will control the entirety of Bactria eventually, because they will be able to attack in any possible direction if they control the spot. So the main thing, of course, is to prevent this from happening. Meanwhile, if armies do decide to move this way towards Frada, we have quite a decent amount of distance to respond to that, where we can move this army down south to quickly bolster the defenses of that settlement. Meanwhile, over here, it might seem like this is a tactical weakness. This one over here, that's the reason why we have this army in the settlement. But of course, this one over here is a little bit more vulnerable, but any army that's going to try to move across this Gedrosian desert is going to take quite a bit of attrition before they can even reach BAM. And if BAM has a decent garrison, then they should be able to hold out for very long. However, that being said, the last and final battle of this turn is of course going to be the Battle of Kath. We are going to quick save over here, and we are going to fight the battle, but I'm not going to be showcasing it once again, and I'll see you all once the battle is done. Alright, another big victory. Kath, as expected, was going to be a very tough battle to fight. As you can see, we have managed to take over the settlement. Our Gerespires and Agrianians took a bit of casualties, but in the end they pulled through, and we are going to sack, or we're just going to peacefully occupy it this time so that we can replenish just a little bit. Gonna turn off the taxation over here, march up north towards Aktau eventually, but for now we're just going to dismantle all of the buildings we don't require, convert the buildings we can use. So with that, we're looking quite good as far as this turn is concerned. Of course, we have leveled up over here as well, so let's just go ahead and give us some levels. Barbarians experience, that's fine. Perfect, and I'm pretty happy with that. And of course, eventually we will want to attack this army, because we can't have it behind our lines. Of course, that being said, we are going to slowly move up with Alexander, our spy over here. We have several spies in the area. We don't need the spy here anymore. Instead, we can start moving him up towards Transoxiana. Meanwhile, the other spies over here just get a line of sight of what is actually going on. Nothing much. You can see they're vastly under-defended. Transoxiana itself is also very going to be under-defended. If anything, they're going to be recruiting some units over here. They will have 4 armies possible, out of which I can see 2 armies for now, so that's going to be the objective. We're going to keep these 2 armies over here to prevent them from further building up more armies, but as you can see, we have managed to split off the Bactrians over there, and we are just going to keep pushing and pushing into them until they eventually yield. Before we go ahead and end the turn, let's take a quick look at all of our provinces, make sure we are building up all of the buildings that we require. As far as buildings are concerned, there's not much we need to do, because as you can tell, well. We are already making quite a lot of money, enough to maintain our extremely massive armies. And apart from that, we're just going to take a quick look over here to see the kind of food generation we're having. 49 at Libya, 36 at Mesopotamia, 36, 36, 20 and 16 in Ionia. Ionia doesn't really need to be a food province anymore. But we are just simply going to retain it as such because I have no real need to convert it. However, with that, let's just go ahead, end the turn, and I will see you all in the next turn. Alright, there you have it. The Bactrian have offered us peace. We have declined, which means they are going to go ahead and attack this army over here. That's actually really ideal. We're going to quick save over here, hop into the battle, and I will see you all in the battle. Alright, welcome to the battle. We're being attacked by the Bactrian. Pretty standard battle over here. It's evenly matched. Numbers are almost equal on both sides, with us having a slight numerical disadvantage, but of course we have a massive quality advantage. We don't really have to maneuver much in this battle since they are on the offensive. They are going to be trying to engage into melee as quickly as possible, but as you can see, I am busy issuing our oblique order formations as best as I can, as quickly as I can, so that I can cover a lot of the front. But I'm not pushing into the enemy because I do realize that they are going to be trying to move into us, and there's not too much time. So instead, I am moving backwards. So that's some really good micromanagement, as you can see over here. So this is something that's great to watch. In the previous battle, it was pretty filled with a lot of micromanagement errors, but in this battle, you can see that perfection as far as micromanagement is concerned. There we have it. We have the wall of pikemen just placed perfectly. They're going to drop their pikes in a second, and we have a complete front that's kind of extended because of this oblique order. And of course, our hoplite units, our Garrison, have also deployed into that phalanx mode. Meanwhile, over here, we can see that enemy melee cavalry is charging towards us. Once again, not really sure why I do not engage them. It's one of the bad things to allow them to charge into your melee infantry, because melee infantry tend to have low charge resistance, which means they will be taking quite a lot of damage. However, on the left flank, you can see a lot better micromanagement. We're almost able to take care of one enemy cavalry unit. There you have it. It's gonna pretty much get wiped out from the battlefield. We don't even have to focus on it that much. Meanwhile, on the right flank, you can see that we have dealt with that enemy cavalry. Unfortunately, he's gonna get away, but one of the things I do recommend in this point of time is to focus fire your javelins, which is exactly what I'm doing, into that cavalry. Try to get a few more kills on that cavalry, hopefully shatter them completely. We weren't able to, but it's the perfect time to be throwing your missiles because they are moving in the opposite direction, and of course that means they're going to be shooting them in their backs, which actually deals the most amount of damage. Over here, being a little bit patient with my Achaemenids, we're going to charge into the enemy flanks once again, just cause that, cause a little bit of casualties over here. And then we have it, Achaemenids, really effective flankers. Really, as you can see, quite a lot of casualties happening over here. There we go. It's just these guys getting absolutely butchered with the Achaemenids. And to make matters worse for them, our cavalry is also beginning to encircle them. And over here, you can see that's a micromanagement error, which means our cavalries just collide, but we don't really cause, damage to each other. So you gotta be very aware of this. Cavalry is extremely micro-intensive. The right move over there is to quickly select a new charge target so that you can apply your charge damage to that new target. But over here, as you can see, the left flank, we are struggling a little bit. This is another mistake, is actually trying to flee from the enemy. What that actually does is creates a lot of problems, and of course that cavalry does have some javelins to throw into our backs. And I think the real mistake over here is that we're actually trying to chase some enemy cavalry units instead of focusing on what's going on over here. So if we do that, once again you can see the charge direction. Okay, we got kind of lucky that this cavalry pulled out at the last minute, giving us a clearer path to charging. And with that clearer path, there you have it. You can see now how much casualties we inflicted on the charge. In fact, another small tip I can give to you guys is to never charge one or more cavalries from the same direction, because your own cavalry kind of blocks them from getting a clean charge off. So definitely keep that in mind. However, on the right flank, you can see that we're pretty much routed the entire enemy. Our pike oblique order is doing quite well at holding the multitude of enemies at bay, and with that we can see that our cavalry has kind of gotten around the enemy front line. We're able to charge into the enemy, into the weaker spots, and once again here a little bit of bad micromanagement, thereby causing absolutely zero damage to these archers, but they are still going to waver in morale because just of the difference. But you can see that we could have been a lot more clinical had we you know, simply circumvented this spear unit over there that was not really the target of our charge. That being said, we're slowly moving up some of our free units, trying to engage as much as possible. Let's take a quick look at what charge is happening over here. We're still trying to charge really haphazardly. This charge is going to get broken right over there. There you have it, see? That's exactly the problem, and what's going to happen is going to stop another charge. So big component of understanding and managing your battles effectively, and I've gotten better over this over the you know, over the times that I've played, but this was a while back that I played Alexander campaign, and of course every time I kind of improve upon my micromanagement and manage to get even better. So I mean, despite such sloppy, what I would consider in hindsight sloppy micromanagement, I was able to win quite decisively in a lot of my engagements. But right now with precise micromanagement, I'm able to do a lot better. So there you have it. See, once again a wrong direction of the charge. These guys are going to get pushed through because of course they are light, very light units, but unfortunately they're going to still get bogged down because you have quite a lot of your units to get around. Meanwhile, you can see the enemy cavalry manages to do a very good charge over here, so they are going to be getting a momentum advantage over there. So just keep in mind, you got to be very careful of how you handle these charges. And yeah, apart from that, battle looks pretty straightforward. Just about 2 minutes left. We are gonna win this battle purely by virtue of the quality of our units, not really entirely based on the micromanagement. So just keep that in mind. You can perform definitely a lot better if you micromanage a lot better. I just love that dirt effect that the cavalry makes with the MI's VFX mod. For those of you who don't have it, I do recommend subscribing it from the Steam Workshop. In fact, he has even released a new mod that completely overhauls the campaign map for the grand campaign only, but slowly but surely he will include it to encompass all of the campaigns for Et Impera. So I definitely recommend that mod, especially if you're playing in the grand campaign. Just makes the map look absolutely stunning. All the assets, everything. I'm very hooked onto it. I almost cannot play the game without that graphic overhaul mod. It's just so gorgeous and so well done, so tastefully done. With that being said, I don't think I need to showcase more of this battle. It's pretty much done, pretty much in the bag. We managed to get rid of most of the units. If we actually charge or hunt down the enemy general over here, we will be able to, you know, completely defeat him. But I think a lot of the mistakes I actually do in this battle, so a lot of the sloppy micromanagement, is actually because I am playing at a higher speed, because I'm not really too, you know, particular about trying to get the best possible result ever. However, if I do record in real time, then I will slow down the speed, and that's when I tend to perform a lot better. That being said, we can go ahead and end the battle, even though it's not really finished. We know there's no coming back for the Bactrians. They have taken quite a few casualties, quite a lot of casualties, significant enough to pretty much cause the battle to be defeated. And just see that. Horrible. Absolutely horrible. What are you cheering about, man? You're absolutely gonna get cooked over here. And oh my god, that was just really bad. Really bad. I have absolutely no idea what's going on over here. It's like I am completely frozen because there's nothing actually happening. None of my units are actually moving, and for some reason I actually end up winning it because I guess I kind of broke the morale of the last remaining unit. But yeah, that was really perplexing. I know I said I'd you know, end the battle a lot sooner, but it was really perplexing as to how I would win this battle. I mean, There's no doubt that I would win the battle, but at that particular moment or that particular point in the battle, it's absolutely brain turned off. So I have no idea what happened over there. Maybe I was distracted by something that happened in real life. However, that being said and done, let's go ahead and end this battle, and I will see you all back in the campaign. And there you have it, yet another decisive victory. This time we managed to kill almost the entire army. We've left some behind so that they cannot build a new army, and this is what it is. You maintain that momentum. We're applying the same strategy we did earlier on in the campaign, making sure that the Bactrian cannot easily mount a defense of their home provinces, so they're pretty much stuck over here. So just waiting for the turn to end and the next turn to load up, and we should be fine. There we go. Missing taxes, missing supplies. Let's take a look. Missing taxes in Judea, we're not even taxing it. Supplies missing in Pergamon is a little bit of a problem. That is because, of course, you know, it is a food generating province. However, that being said, let's just quickly upgrade all of our buildings, whichever ones we can. We're going to focus as much as possible. We're even going to upgrade our temples. Temples will help and go a long way in improving a lot of our public order issues. And there we have it. I mean, I could upgrade that, but it's quite a lot. So what we are going to do instead is obviously focus on these buildings over here. Let's focus on that cultural conversion, improve that. Oh, we have quite a bit of buildings over here. Just dismantle these ones. Go ahead. Okay, that's perfect. I'm pretty happy with that, but I just want to check Egyptos. Okay, we are upgrading. We want to focus on, of course, our economic buildings as much as we can, or economic provinces as much as we can. So we have a little bit of money left. We can just spend it on trying to improve the Hellenic culture in Epidamnos. It's increasing, but very slowly, and we definitely want to upgrade it as much as we can. Apart from that, we do have a little bit of money in the treasury. We have about 9,000 drachma. We're not going to be we're going to be hard pressed to keep upgrading all of our settlements, of course, but I am not too concerned about that. For now, the main thing is, of course, we can even upgrade our cavalry, which is going to be pretty amazing, to be honest. We're going to have speed 9 in most of them, which is absolutely amazing. So let's actually go ahead and keep doing that. We have replenished just a little bit. What we can do over here is keep sending Hephaestion up to the north at Kath. Meanwhile, this guy, he is almost replenished, to be honest. So let's actually just go ahead and move him in that direction. Meanwhile, this army can't really attack over here. This army could potentially attack Sadrakarta, and Sadrakarta has a low garrison. However, I am not... Ooh, okay, that army's come all the way back. So we got to be a little bit careful about that. Do not want him to attack Sadrakarta. There are two possible directions in which they could attack Sadrakarta. So what we're going to do is we're going to try to move back towards that province so that we do not take a lot of casualties or lose that settlement, since we haven't really lost a settlement in this campaign, which is something I was trying to achieve in this campaign, so that's definitely a good thing. But what we can do is start moving towards Amul, try to take over that settlement as well, keep moving our spy across into Transoxiana, get a line of sight of what's happening over there. Seems like for the most part the Bactrianes do not have a response to my offensive. It seems like they only have 2 armies in the region, that's right, which means they have left you know, the heartlands wide for the taking. A couple of the armies very weak over here, and another army that's pretty weak. The only real weakness over here is Sadrakarta, of course. But what we're going to do up here in the north with Alexander is we're going to attack the settlement of Amul, and this time around we are going to sack and loot it so that we get some money, which will you know, provide us the much needed stimulus to improving our buildings across our empire. Of course, we have a lot of buildings that we can potentially increase since we have just completed that technology, of course. However, with that, well, let's quickly see if we can promote some characters. So there we go. We can promote that character. All the way down south over here, Sparta, we are going to be in war against these guys, and we're just going to check if we can declare that war, and we have about 2 turns before we can go ahead declaring that war, and that will give them just about enough time to recruit a complete army, which we are promptly going to try to defeat with just 2 armies. So we are going to be outnumbered here with 2 armies. They're going to have 2 armies plus a garrison of Sparta itself, which is a 19-man garrison with a lot of perioikoi hoplite, which are actually really good, or periki hoplite, as some of the Hellenes would like for me to pronounce. However, with that, let's just quick save over here. I'm going to hop into the battle, not showcase this of course, and I'll see you all once the battle is done. And another very decisive victory. We took only 9 losses, managed to capture the settlement of Amul, I believe. And we are going to sack and loot the settlement so that we get a little bit of economic stimulus, which is what we need to keep upgrading our provinces, of course. So let's just go ahead, sack the settlement, and then we are going to go ahead and loot it as well. Thereby, we have completed consolidating the province of Area, which is great. We are going to repair all of the buildings we need, and we can just simply convert that. A quick look to see our other provinces. We're going to prioritize the public order in our food provinces, of course. However, that being said, it is time to go ahead and end the turn, and I will see you all in the next turn when we take over Actau, and in a couple of turns we are going to also take over Sparta. Alright, welcome to the next turn. Lucas, our hero, has leveled up. Meanwhile, this army can't really attack over here. It doesn't have much of a choice. Sadrakata, you're just 1 turn away from actually building up and then getting a sizable garrison, after which we can kind of move in the opposite direction. So that's looking good. Meanwhile, Alexander over here is still going to need to replenish a little bit. Let's just go ahead, dismantle these buildings, upgrade all of the buildings we need. We want to culturally convert these provinces as quickly as possible, of course. Over here we have managed to even replenish. So we're looking very good in a very solid position over here. We're going to try to see if we can actually reach Actau. And we can't really reach it in this turn, so in the next turn we are going to go ahead and try to get there. Meanwhile, we can move a Hephaestion probably in this direction. Karth, I think, will have a decent garrison. Yep, it does. So we can actually move towards Marv with Hephaestion, and we're going to start our invasion of Bactria as well as Marakanda. Of course, we don't have a lot of time left for the episode, especially considering that we will have to go to war against Sparta. Let's take a quick look and see if we can upgrade any buildings. We're going to focus on our food provinces, of course, because the main thing is we want them to have the maximum amount of public order. So let's just quickly look over here. We can just build that. Excellent. I'm pretty happy with that. Okay, everything else seems to be fine. So we can actually even upgrade this over here. We're going to start to build another academia over there. And let's just focus on our temples for now. Keep in mind that as you keep running out of money in your treasury, and of course you are making money over time, but the main thing is that, some of these level 4 buildings going to take 16 turns to build, so you don't really need to spam it. Sooner or later you're going to come out on top, so do not be afraid to deplete your economy like this, because eventually you're going to be able to recover that money as the turns pass. It's going to get a lot easier. As you can see, I'm even comfortable just having about 200 denarii per turn in the treasury, because as you can see, it's going to take 10 turns for that building to build up, which means I have 10 turns of this, which is potentially 570,000 denarii in the 10 turns. However, that being said, we are just a couple of turns away from attacking Sparta, actually in a really good spot to attack them right here, right now. But I'm not going to do that. Instead, I'm just going to move my army just out so that they do not get isolated and this army gets massively overwhelmed. And eventually we're going to attack this Spartan army. And we're going to have to do that in the next turn. But for now, we can go ahead and end the turn, and I will see you all in the next turn. Alright, welcome to the next turn. Supplies missing in Parsis. Ptolemaeus has increased in rank, which is great. Let's just go ahead. Even our individual over here has improved in rank. We're going to focus on that. Slowly but surely converting over here. Let's just upgrade that building for the extra commerce, of course. And looking quite good, to be honest. We can upgrade that building as well. No real threat over here. Of course, Armenians, our satrap, are moving all the way towards Pura, which is kind of nice because they're going to weaken out this army, hopefully. Quick look at some of our other regions. Let's just quickly bump up those settlements. And we have an army over here. Sadrakata is now pretty well garrisoned, so I'm quite happy with that. Quick look at our culture over here, 16% increasing at 2.7. As you can see, these eastern provinces are going to be a much greater challenge to culturally convert. We are almost done converting Persis, but we haven't really yet converted Carmania. We're still a ways off. Meanwhile, in Media, we're quite a ways off from culturally converting that. However, what we're going to do, quick look at all of our buildings, focus of course primarily on our food as well as our temple buildings first and foremost, because that is very important. Not the temple buildings in our home provinces, because we already have maxed out Hellenic culture over there, but we're going to focus on our temple buildings in our food provinces and in the provinces we wish to convert, of course. And with that, we have quite a bit of money remaining. And what I did notice in the previous turn is that a lot of our armies, we haven't really leveled up our cavalry. So that's exactly what we're going to do. We're going to select each of the armies individually, make sure that we have leveled them up. And just let's level up Ptolemaeus while we're at it. There we go. The Stratus 6 Python, Hephaestion, okay. Philotas, Balakros is a little bit ahead, so we can just go ahead and get that. That's speed 8, that's good. A rebus as well. Let's go ahead and get that. So we have about 6,500 denarii in the treasury. And for now, what we are going to be focusing is on declaring this war against the Spartans. We're going to move all the way here, and we are going to declare this war against the Spartans. Their allies is Epirus. That is interesting. Hopefully the Epirus won't join them. Let's see. We are going to try this, and the allies did refuse to. That was really scary, guys. I really was hoping that the Epirus wouldn't join them, but the Epirus are weak because they're in a struggle against the Illyrians to the north, and actually taking over Epidamnos has kind of helped them a little bit in terms of survival. They have lost 2 armies in the turns between turns, so they are going to be extremely weak. So I was kind of hoping that they wouldn't join the war against the Spartans, but it kind of worked out in the end. Meanwhile, we're going to go ahead, attack this army over here. That's great. It has moved all the way in the back. We're going to go ahead, attack it once more. Quick save over here. I'm going to hop into this battle. Going to fight this battle against the legendary Spartans. Historically speaking, these Spartans actually did try to overthrow the Macedonians in the Peloponnese, but they were crushed at the battle of... what kind of battle was it? I believe it was Megalopolis. However... after that, Spartan was more or less subjugated. They weren't directly incorporated into the League of Corinth, but the Macedonians had a firm grip over the Peloponnese, and the Spartans were all in name effectively subjugated. But let's just quick save over here, hop into the battle, and I will see you all in the battle. Alright, welcome to the final battle of this episode. I'm pretty sure it will be the final battle of this episode. Not that many more battles to be fought, really. In fact, the Achaemenid Empire has just been destroyed. All that remains are its remaining satrapies, like the Bactrianis, as well as, I believe, the Sogdians, if I'm not mistaken. However, that being said, we are going to deal with the Spartan, with the Spartans over here, we're going to try to conquer the settlement of Sparta. But first, we are going to have to defeat the Spartan army that's outside the city walls. And of course, they are not an army to scoff at. They are filled with elite units like the Spartan hoplites. These guys right here, they are the mercenary Greek veteran hoplites. So actually really good hoplites. And of course, you have the Homoi hoplites. Of course, from that, you have the Peloponnesian. These guys not that great, really. Another group of Homoi. So I hear it pronounced as Homi sometimes, but I call it Homoi. Once again, Peloponnesian, Homoi, Hippeos. This is the general's bodyguard. Really beautiful looking unit. Fantastic looking unit. It's so badass, but it's really archaic looking, really anachronistic. More Homoi. I have no idea how the AI manages to get so much first class population, and even their cavalry is full of Homoi cavalry, so it's really crazy. The only non-Homoi class units that they have are actually mercenary units, with the exception of one Helot skirmisher unit, so that's absolutely insane. Oh, okay, they do have one Helot spearman as well. That being said, we're slowly moving up our armies. It's a 9-minute battle. We can kind of speed up the battle a little bit. Of course, it's not going to get as choppy because it's not a 40-man battle. One of the main problems of fighting this army composition is that, this cavalry over here, the Spartan light cavalry, is actually really, really powerful. It doesn't look that powerful on paper, but actually if you take a look at it, it's 23 armor, which is really a lot. 120 men in the unit, of course, and I believe the unit speed, I can't really see it right now because I am using the new beta, so it kind of covers the unit speed, but the unit speed is also pretty high. Meanwhile, our own cavalry is a little bit slower, so it's going to be difficult to catch up to them. So the main focus is obviously going to be using our missile units to target their missile cavalry. But apart from that, we are quickly going to keep pushing it into the enemy as soon as possible. One of the mistakes I do here is I actually commit my missile units into their missile units. It's not really needed since they don't really have a lot of missile advantage. The main thing is to actually deal with their cavalry, because the cavalry is the main problem over here. We have nothing that can really counter it. As you can see, we're charging in our own cavalry trying to deal with it, but it's going to be really hard, really difficult. And that's the thing I like a lot about Divided Empire, Rome 2 in general, or any kind of strategy game that pretty much implements this. On paper, Homoi, Hippias, sorry about that, no match for the Thessalian cavalry, but as you can see, they have a natural advantage that we fail to capitalize on, or we fail to counter. So there's no real point in chasing them. But one of the things that you can do in this situation, I decide to wheel off, but one of the things you can do is, like, you chase this cavalry, and you can see was pulling back. This cavalry is stationary, and then you can quickly issue an order to change your direction and charge into that cavalry. And the lighter cavalry you have, the more effective that strategy is, because the quicker your acceleration, which means the rate at which you turn, which means you can catch this cavalry off guard, and you can pretty much trap it in melee. So that is pretty much what you want to do as quickly as possible. Over here you can see that the Homoi hoplites actually pushed so deep into our pike phalangites. It's like our pike phalangites are definitely having an advantage in terms of reach, but these Homoi are just so brutally good. I think it's because of kind of they time the charge as well, because you can see that that's where my actual front line is. So these guys kind of time the charge, just in time for these units. And I think one of the main mistakes I made here, I didn't really see it happen in this battle, is that I actually moved in double time really quickly up. And when you do that, when you're in phalanx mode, keep in mind your pikes will still be upright and not positioned, which means the enemy can charge into you, and then it's going to be very difficult to get your pikes down. Even if you do get your pikes down, the enemy is going to get close enough to you, and as you can see, those units of pike phalangites taking quite a lot of casualties. So all in all, the Spartans putting up a really, really good fight. They are going to be losing nonetheless, because eventually our pikes are going to come through. But really, You know, in this sort of a confrontation, you know, they really outperformed than what they should have. Because if you take a look at the rest of the front line that had enough time to kind of line up, you can see we're barely taking any damage, and we are going to be dishing out some serious punishment to a lot of these units over here. So yeah, micromanagement is really, really important, guys. Cannot stress that enough. You know, can be the difference between this and that. All the way in the back, you can see that the enemy cavalry is run out of javelins. This is the time where we should be focused on our cavalry, but once again, being very, very decisive. I have no idea what's really going on with our cavalry. I think at this point of time, I am actually distracted with what's happening over there in the center. But right now, you can see that I realize, okay, my cavalry is a problem. It's one of the reasons I do recommend keeping your camera out at maximum zoom, because you can really get a comprehensive view of what's going on in the battle. Then you can zoom in if you are one of those kinds of players who like to kind of take a look at the action that's going on over there. There we go, we have another Macedonian bites the dust, which is rather surprising. I kind of expect a lot of Spartans to be dying because they do have the disadvantage, and there you have it. Okay, at least one Spartan dead, but that's just how insanely good the Homoi hoplite are. That being said, we're wiping out the enemy support, and after that's done, it's game over for the Spartans, because phalanx units are incredibly vulnerable to rear charges. So once that happens, we're going to have a free reign to perform rear charges. We have about 3 minutes left for the battle. Balance of power still quite even. Spartans putting up a very respectable fight. You know, I did expect an easy victory, so that's on me. But nonetheless, definitely Spartans did a great job. The AI did a great job at exploiting this. You can see that we finally managed to deal with that, and they've created a sort of gap over there. A lot of dead bodies in that area. Really managed to push into that, and you can actually see the effect of that in a single unit. You can see that this unit was a bit of 50-50, so you had half the unit got into position, the other half couldn't, so you can actually see that dip. So just be very careful, guys. If you are moving forward with pikes, the closer you are to your enemy, slow down. Do not run, because you will be caught out of position if they time a charge really well. That being said, you can see that you know, the other sections of our front line is relatively stable. It's really the pressure going on in the middle, and actually this unit of Homoi have managed to you know, do quite a lot of casualties. 80 casualties against pike units is absolutely insane. You know, the other ones that have valiantly ended up dying over here in the attempts to break through, really valiant. They've managed to kill a lot of our pikemen. As you can see, about 150 or 120 pikemen over there, another 120 pikemen over there. That's insane. Meanwhile, our cavalry decides it's a good idea to engage with the enemy generals. Absolutely not, guys. Do not do this. You know, a hoplite unit dealing with a cavalry unit, especially one of the best, if not the very best hoplite unit in the game. 300 men strong. Winning decisively, yeah, no shit. Sorry for the cussing over there, but yeah, that's absolutely you know, bound to happen if you do something like this. I think at the time the right thing to do in such a situation is use one of your free units. You have an Agrianian over here, move him towards the Spartan generals, pin down the Spartan general, and then try to rear charge the Spartan general. But as you can see, our cavalry finally managed to move out. Spartan general cheering, of course, and well deserved from his point of view. Managed to get quite a lot of kills, 90 kills, mostly cavalry. So that's really unfortunate, but we are just, you know, doing a Hail Mary charge over here, trying to break the enemy front line as much as possible. There you have it, finally moving our Agrianians. We're having a return of some of these hoplite units that fled from the battlefield earlier. You can see managed to do quite a lot of casualties, so that's that. Now over here, we do have an opportunity to rear charge the Spartan general. Once again, he's engaged with our main general. Wonder if we actually take that opportunity. If we don't, if we do something stupid, engage these units over here. And okay, we did something in the middle ground. We didn't do the absolute best. We could have absolutely charged over here, and yeah, I'm really critical of how I played all of the battles in this episode, guys. I think I'm really relaxed at what the situation is right now as far as the campaign is concerned. We're really just killing for time and just trying to, you know, reach a conclusive end, OCD kind of an end. So not really paying too much attention to casualties as we were in the earlier parts of the campaign when we were significantly outnumbered. However, let's go ahead, end the battle. I'll see you all in the campaign. We're going to take down the Spartans. And there you have it, a decisive victory against the Spartans. Of course, their hoplites cannot hold up against our pikemen. Pikemen actually did amazing. Just look at the amount of kills on each of those pikemen. Cavalry struggled a little bit with their missile cavalry, Spartan missile cavalry of all things. Despite having faced much greater cavalry, it's really funny that we struggle against Spartan cavalry. However, that being said, we're going to turn the tables on the Spartans. We're going to make helots out of them instead. There we go, kick to the nuts, big manly Spartan nuts. And down goes the Spartans, enslaved, of course, by the Macedonians. And over here, we are going to you know, build this up over here. I'm not entirely sure if I actually want to create a satrap out of the Spartans or just outright annex them. And I think I'm just going to annex them. Pretty decent auto-resolve. Let's just auto-resolve this one because I think we're running out of time and we're just going to simply peacefully occupy the settlement once again. Just defeat the Spartans over here. It should be pretty easy even if we fought the battle, but we're running out of time. And like that, we just wiped out the Spartans. We should have a decent amount of population over here. We're going to retain that military building and go ahead and just deploy ourselves into Athens over here as well. And yeah, perfect. With that, I'm pretty happy with the way things are panning out over here. As you can see, our entire empire, I almost clicked the end button over there, but as you can see, our entire empire is looking quite nice. If we take a look at the diplomacy map mod, it's a little bit weird because allies as well as subjects kind of follow the same you know, texture, but for the most part, one of the best maps that you can see is probably the public order. And as you can see, the public order, that's what our empire kind of looks like. Of course, keep in mind we also control Armenia, so things are looking quite good for us. We are very much going to be winning this this campaign without any difficulty moving forward. But what we are going to do is we're just simply going to attack the settlement of Acta. We're going to auto-resolve it. I don't have the patience to fight it out. And instead we're going to sack as well as loot the settlement, because why not? I mean, that army all the way up there in the north is not going to be doing too much. Instead, we have discovered a new faction that could potentially attack us, but I'm not too concerned. Let's just go ahead, dismantle up all the buildings over here. We have, in fact, even reached Imperium level 8, I believe, or 7. Let's take a quick look. Yep, we are on Imperium level 7, so yeah, we're looking really powerful, guys. However, with that, I think the main objective is, since we do have Sadrokata under control, we are going to be focusing on moving our armies even further to the east. We have Parmenion over here. We have Hephaestion over here that can move towards... I think Alexander, for some reason, isn't actually replenishing, although I do hope that he does replenish. We're going to move him all the way down towards Marv in the anticipation of attacking Bactria. Hopefully he replenishes. Meanwhile, we're going to move Hephaestion all the way up north towards Amal, and eventually he's going to attack Bukhara. Nisa, on the other hand, has less garrison, but decent enough to face off against these units. So what we are going to do is we're going to try to just simply push this unit off. There we go. Get out of the way. He's trapped now by that zone of control, so he's no longer a threat in as far as movement is concerned. And we are also going to move Stratos 6 Python all the way up towards Bukhara. We want to attack Bukhara as quickly as possible in the next episode, of course. Meanwhile, we're going to garrison Nisa. make sure that they can't attack us. We have another army over here. It's pretty weak, and our garrisons are looking quite good, so I'm not too concerned about that. Rhaga has a decent amount of garrison, so once again, not too concerned. Meanwhile, we have 3 armies over here that are ready to attack, launch an invasion. We have no more armies left to deal with. We just have a couple of armies of the Arachosians, of course, to deal with. That's going to be dealt with by Alexander. That's going to be the objective for now, the remaining of the campaign. As you can see, we mostly have the entirety of the Achaemenid Empire under our firm control. What we are going to try to do is move from the north to the south, capture Bactrian, capture Transoxiana. Simultaneously, Alexander himself will move through Bactra to Eucratidea and through Capizine, and then march all the way down south through Aurea, as well as Pura finally. And we're going to try to soften up the resistance so that Alexander can effectively take over Pura relatively easily. And the way we're going to do that is we're going to keep attacking these armies and then just keep withdrawing, so that Alexander can then just march easily through the Gedrosian desert, which was historically the case. Alexander did do that, and he took a lot of casualties for his army while doing that, and then eventually he made it back up towards Babylon. Of course, he did have another contingent of units that moved via the Gulf of Persia towards Charax and then eventually to Babylon. So he split his armies into 2 types. However, I'll discuss more about that historical stuff in the future videos when, of course, we are partaking in that activity. However, for now, let's just quickly give our character some abilities. The replenishment rate is obviously going to be nice. It's going to take a couple of triple turns for these armies to replenish, but we don't really, we're not really too concerned about it because, of course, we don't have a lot of fighting that's going to happen over here, of course. We could also try to attack Rhodos. Rhodos historically was not a part of Alexander's conquest, and I'm going to try to stay as historical as possible. Of course, Rhodos and Crete did manage to escape Alexander. Alexander was not really interested in conquering these islands of Greece, and rightly so, it would have taken him a long time. Meanwhile, as for Sparta, as I mentioned earlier, they weren't outright conquered, but they were defeated at the Battle of Megalopolis, and effectively they were subjugated for the remainder of Alexander's conquest. But speaking of Alexander, let's take a quick look at our politics. Politically speaking, we're looking quite beloved. Our faction party political rivals are very loyal towards us. Alexander himself is just 28, which means we have 4 more years, which is about 48 turns to wrap up this campaign. And if you think about it, I don't think we need 48 turns. So I'm guessing in about 2 turns we'll conquer Transoxiana. In about 3 to 4 turns, the entirety of Bactriane should fall under our firm grip. And the main concern will be, of course, Gedrosia, because, it's all about movement now rather than actual outright conquest. Conquest is not going to take a lot of time to achieve because, of course, as you can see, they don't have a lot of resistance over here. It's going to be very, very easy to take over the settlements. Of course, historically speaking, Alexander actually spent a lot of time in Bactriane and Transoxiana because these guys under Spitamenes, I think his name was, mounted a fierce resistance against Alexander. And of course, after he took over Transoxiana, there was in fact an invading tribe of nomadic warriors. I forgot what exact tribe they were. I think they were Scythians or Sarkans or something like that. And basically Alexander encountered them at a river battle at Jaxartes, which is somewhere about this region. And he not only managed to cross the river, but actually defeat a nomadic army in open field battle with a predominantly infantry based army, which is absolutely absolutely impressive. One of the first, if not the very first, recorded victory by a land-based infantry heavy army defeating a nomadic horse archer army, and that is just the brilliance of Alexander. As I mentioned, he fought against multiple different types of enemies and he always came out on top despite that. Of course, one of the things we will not be able to achieve in this campaign is, of course, the crossing of the Hindu Kush. So although we have 4 years remaining to Alexander's life, we will probably wrap up this campaign by the time he is 30 years of age, which leaves about 2 years of age, which we can consider his time to conquer India. And that's actually very interesting. I kind of can notice that over here in India, although this is not a playable part of the map, as you can tell, you can't really move over here east of the Hindu Kush. But what's very interesting is that what I can notice is the Indus River over here. And it's a real shame that we never really get to see that, and actually goes all the way up to the north. Would have been absolutely phenomenal if we had this in the campaign, especially for the Mauryans and other things, but that's unfortunately something we will not be able to achieve in this campaign. So once Alexander actually subjugated Bactria, subdued of course the rebellious Bactrians, dealt with the nomads, one of the things he actually had to do in order to pacify the region was get married to a Bactrian noblewoman of the name Roxanne, through whom he fathered a son who was actually killed in the ensuing Diadochi Wars, as they didn't want anyone claiming Alexander's legacy, especially his son. Since Alexander died very young, he could not ensure a smooth succession or a transition, and unfortunately his lineage came to an end with the death of his son through his Bactrian, a noble woman. Of course, his marriage to a Bactrian was not very much appreciated by the Macedonians, incredibly xenophobic at that point of time. It was actually Alexander who kind of pioneered a sort of cultural assimilation in the ancient world. However, that being said and done, I do hope you enjoyed this video, and if you liked the video, then like the video, and don't forget to subscribe if you are interested for more. Peace and love.